Ozark Trail FS.2 Slalom. This bike hasn't even made it to the racks at Walmart yet at the time I'm making this video anyway, and it's already making a big splash. And I have a full series of videos coming on this bike, including upgrades and things I'm gonna do to it. And you can see here, this wasn't even planned. This was an upgrade that happened. I was just seeing what tires would fit on here, and then the bike shop made me a deal on those. That's not what we're going to talk about today, though. Again, full series of videos covering every square inch of this bike. Today, I want to talk about this. One of the main questions I'm having already, the pivot system here. Are there bearings or bushings hiding behind here? We already know there's some metal in there, so at least it's not the plastic. And if you're new here, look, I've been doing this for a long time. We have all the viewers here at KevCentral have been doing this for a long time, buying and upgrading big box bikes. And in my time doing big box bikes, I have seen plastic in here, plastic back here. And by the way, if you're ever checking out a bike like this, rarely does this stuff work loose. Rarely will it work loose there. Right there seems to be the stress point. So we're going to look at all of this. I'm going to go ahead and get this upside down so it's easy for me. Take the shock off and stay tuned after we get to the bearing thing because I have more to say about that. But let's cut to this bearing or this apart and see what's back there. Shock off, and here's one of the pins. Just wanted to tell you the pins, they're 8mm. If you get a RockShox, like a RockShox Monarch, I'm very familiar with this 8mm pin size. Works on a lot of budget bikes, but RockShox uses a larger diameter, so there's an adapter kit that needs to be bought. Just to clarify, in case you're considering any upgrades here. Reveal time, a little bit of it fell out. Now, I've purposely not looked in here, so we're going to see this together. I did pull the pin out. A couple of notes here. Loctite, that's good. Trust me, not always a given. Sometimes on budget bikes, but all this is Loctited. And the torque value on this, 8.5 Newton meters up front. Now, it's different at the back. We'll look at that in a second. But there is the bolt, there's the Loctite, and there's this. This is a spacer, and this sits between this pivot arm and this seat stay. So the rear triangle here and this front pivot arm, you have this silver spacer, and that's what we were seeing in my video. So there's that, and there's this. This is the back side. And by back side, I mean it sits in the cup right here, and you can actually see it on the other one. So that would be this piece, and just for orientation, this goes through there, through here on the back side. Spacer washer here, and then the bolt for this screw goes through here. So I'm going to go ahead and pop off. I knocked my camera over. I still haven't sneaked a peek, so we're going to take this apart. We're going to look here, and you see nothing here. And that's fine. That's because there's not anything here. We want to look here, and I already looked down as I was holding these up. And look at this. Let me zoom in here. There are bearings in there. And if I get just right, you might can even see the number, the model number on the bearing. Yeah, that's actually a bearing. So good there. There we go. There's the number. If you can make that out. Yeah, look at that. There is a bearing. It's also worth to mention that these little spacer things that sit here, so we've got the bushing in there, and then these spacers, you heard that. That clicked in. This is all a nice, good fit. No slop other than, I mean, you know, this turns, which is what you want to turn. But it's a really good setup here so far. What's going to happen when we look back here at this pivot? I have loosened these. Now, I haven't looked down in here, but I just want to show you this. This is kind of a little step up bolt, and then you have another one of these sitting here, so that's pretty good. More Loctite. I like seeing that. Okay, let me make sure nothing's going to drop out of here. Big reveal time. Oh, yep, there's stuff dropping. Oh yeah, okay. So look at that spacer compared to the front one. Considerably thicker. I told you this was a high stress point, and we've got another spacer here and in here. Yeah, I'm seeing a bearing, and it's a larger bearing. Let me reposition you. Yeah, look at that. That is a bearing. Different numbers. I'll see if I can get them and maybe put them on your screen or down in the description. But that is a chunkin' bearing, and then those larger spacers, definitely more beefy back here. And I don't know if I mentioned the torque value for this. 12.5 Newton meters is what this was from the factory. And if you have one of these bikes and you've taken this apart, this goes on the inside. The little small nut with that step up goes on the outside, and then those two spacers, you know, maybe let me find out how wide these spacers are since we're here. Okay, they're going to be 3 millimeters. So these will be 3 millimeter spacers. If by chance you take this apart, you're going to have trouble getting the spacers back in there because there are two 3 millimeter spacers and there's about 2 millimeters of space here. But what there actually is a little step in. You see the lip there? So you want to put your spacer in and clip it into that lip before you push it up to seat with the pins. Little tip, trust me, it's from experience. There's one more part of the pivot system though, and it's, remember the bike's upside down, it's here at the bottom bracket, right there. And you can see I've already got it loosened. This was at 13 Newton meters. And let's see what happens here. Ideally, I should have taken the chain ring off, but I'm trying to do this without taking the chain ring off because I have some upgrades coming for that. So I'm just going to let all this fall. And this system has this and this also Loctited, but look at that. A bearing here. Now this is the point. On budget full suspension bikes, specifically big box budget full suspension bikes, there will be like a nylon spacer, kind of a PVC spacer. This, an actual bearing. Let's see if we can see a number on this. If I zoom in, there we go. There's the numbers if you want to know, and let's just kind of look through there. Look at that. Wow, a good job. Ozark Trail, except, let's see. These are pressed in, so I don't want to have to work too hard, but that's metal as well. So metal and bearing, no plastic nylon bushings anywhere on this stuff. Man, I'm impressed, especially with this. This was the one thing that I had a question about, but I am super happy with this. Now I just have to get it back together. And because that has a recessed lip on the other side, just like this one, I will be able to kind of set this in there. And yeah, okay, it's going to be easy. Now, if for whatever reason you do have to get into this for your own purposes, it would be easier to take the chain ring off, but because there is the holes in the chain ring, you can orient it and stick a wrench right through to the screw cap on the other side. What do you think? I am impressed. No shortcomings where they could have taken them, especially down there. They could have hidden that, and very few people would have seen it. Proved that they did make this with the thoughts that people were going to upgrade it, especially with this Boost 148 at the back. All the important pivots going to be protected or going to function on this and not wear. That means parts are always going to be available, because if you have a bearing number, you can find an equivalent somewhere. Now, this shock's probably going to be its own video because, of course, I'm going to be upgrading this. But this is 185 by 48. And there are, I found, 185 by 45s and 185 by 48 shocks. But none of them were anything I would take this off for to replace. So that kind of creates maybe something there, but also the travel of this and this pivot system, how this works and the measurements, well, that's probably its own other video. So I'm just going to wrap it up for here for now on this one. And then, of course, me talking about droppers and some of the unique things about this. If there's one video you're going to want to make sure you're subscribed for, though, on this FS2 Slalom, it would be about frame sizing, because this is the medium frame. I think it says so somewhere down in there that this is. It's over here. Just can't focus on it. But this is the medium frame, and the geometry on this thing, well, it's kind of all over the place. At least the measurements. We were at the bike shop yesterday, and we were measuring reach, and there's some other reach that comes from the tip of the saddle. But we did bottom bracket, tube lengths, wheelbase, and this bike was kind of all over the place compared to a Trek Slash, which the geometry, even if it's not 64, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty close to 64, but as I mentioned, measuring on a tapered head tube, a little difficult to get exact taper measurements or head tube angle measurements. But we compared it to the Trek Slash, put it beside it. I mean, it looks very, very much in line. And when we compared the specs, all the measurements like the reach and the standover height and the saddle heights and the bottom bracket height and the wheelbase, all of that, it was like one thing would be a Trek extra large, one thing would be a Trek small, and then there would be a medium. It was kind of all over the place. And I think that's going to be important for people that are going to be shopping for these. So by the time they come out, hopefully I'll have a video on that, because I'm already starting to get into upgrades, even that I didn't plan on doing. So they're going to be happening really, really fast. Even this, I'm not even going to count this as the first upgrade, because it's not what I would do if I purchased this bike. I have a specific first upgrade, little giveaway there, that's definitely going to be needed before tires. But other than that, just stay tuned, stay subscribed, and keep checking, because a lot more videos coming on this. But now we know there are actual bearings. Why am I pointing to the shock? There are actual bearings in here in all the important places. Thanks for watching. Comment with your thoughts so far, and have a great day.